everybody. My name is Otto Von Clutch. That is double T, baby. And alongside my co-host, as always,
I'm Referee Amber. Thank you for joining us once again.
And dude, this Dark Side of the Ring episode was epic. Let me tell you something, man. Sensational Sherri, a manager to so many greats. You know, freaking Macho Man to fucking who else?
She had the Harlem Heat. She managed the Macho Man. She managed Shawn Michaels.
Dude, the list goes on and on. Also, she started her career off as a wrestler, and Jim Cornette was her first manager ever.
Yeah, they started off kind of together. They in this industry together coming up.
Absolutely. So this episode just kicks it off, man. You get Jim Cornette, you get Eric Bischoff, you get Jake the Snake Roberts, just giving Sensational Sherri high praise in the beginning. And then boom, that minute mark hits, and you get that mean old bitch Medusa. She comes in there, boom, just says, nah-uh. That lady, she wants to give all this negativity. Medusa, you better watch yourself because the ghost of Sensational might just give you a fucking elbow drop. But I'm telling you, man, that shit kind of got me hot. I was like, damn, you're going to speak ill of the dead like that? Come on now. But beautiful woman, man. She had this drive, this passion. She wanted to be in the industry, and she knew no matter what, she was going to do it. They show her at a young age of 16 years old. 16, Jake says 17, but she was out there by the ringside watching Jake the Snake Roberts as a young referee over there at the Grizzly Adams Federation over there, you know? And she wanted to be in wrestling school. So she goes to Grizzly Adams. And she goes to him.
Grizzly Smith.
Grizzly
right?
Smith, that's correct. Thank you for correcting me. I knew I was wrong, so I looked at you.
Mid-South Wrestling.
She goes over to Grizzly and says, hey, he's the head booker over there. You know, I want to get into this business. I want to start wrestling. He says, nah, you got to come back when you're 21. They let you know that Jake the Snake and Sensational, they had a thing going on for 4 to 5 years, Jake says. You know, they were seeing each other off and on.
Yeah. And then pretty much she kind of goes off and then meets her husband, a new husband at the time, now ex-husband. We get introduced to Leroy Gonzalez. This is the man that Sensational Sherri had her son with. He kind of tries to settle her down, buys the trailer.
He met her at a strip club. She was a stripper at the time.
Yes, she was.
So she was already an
exotic
entertainer,
dancer.
man. She was already an entertainer.
She was trying to earn that money in order to go to wrestling school and to afford her, you know, her passion. So That's what she did. She was trying to, and also, I guess, keep that aspect of still entertainment, you know, getting to do it on the stage, perform live. So yeah, that's where she met Leroy at the exotic dance club. And then in July of 1982, she has her son Jared. And then pretty much, I think what Leroy says from his aspect, 3 months later, she wanted to leave. She did not want to be a mom. She did not want to be caged, like a caged bird, I guess. She wanted to be free.
But let's make points where they're supposed to be put across. She was on Quaaludes. She was on freaking Vicodins.
Yes.
She was on marijuana.
Yes.
She was on cocaine, heroin.
She was partying.
Leroy describes her addiction to everything under the rainbow, basically.
Anything and everything. She was out clubbing with the girlfriends, so instead of wanting to be home. And then she moves to Memphis.
They get divorced.
Yeah, they get a divorce.
She leaves him. She says she wants to go and be a wrestler. He laughs at her face. Yeah. You know, the last thing you want to do is laugh in the face of someone that is passionate, because that passionate person is going to turn that laugh into energy, and that energy is going to turn into gasoline, and that gasoline is going to turn into a fire that's never going to stop, and we're going to go all the way to the top. And that's what Sensational Sherri did. She is a driven woman, a passionate woman. She decides to maybe, you know, I need to go back to wrestling school. No one wants to take her because back then it wasn't easy. It wasn't like there was a fucking billboard that says, hey, come join my school, you know, where the big boys play, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not like that. This shit's underground, bro. Kayfabe is still strongly alive. Boom. So she goes to this outlaw mud show. That's right. Good old outlaw indie promoter. Because anytime
Butch Moore.
Butch Moore. Oh, absolutely. And Butch Moore, she goes to Butch Moore and says, hey, I want to be a pro wrestler. What does Butch Moore do? Slaps her right across the face. It says, what? You want some of this? And she looks at that son of a bitch, and what does she say, Amber?
Is that all you got?
That's all you got. And she's fired up. So boom, she goes and joins this wrestling school, working with them for a year. You know, then she goes back, go back to Grizzly, absolutely. Goes back to Grizzly at the age of 21. He wants to know why she wants to do this, and we all know she's passionate, baby. And when you're passionate, you don't stop. So boom, she gets trained under that umbrella.
They send her to Moolah. Remember,
After so long.
Yeah, then they send her to Moolah. They want her to learn. They want her to learn under her wing.
Fabulous Moolah's like, fuck, man, I can't handle this chick. Because there's rules at the Fabulous Moolah's compound. You know, you got to be in at a certain time. You can't be looking at guys. You can't be doing drugs. You can't be yada, yada, yada. You got to make sure you soak the Fabulous Moolah's feet, and you got to walk on the ground that she walks upon. You know, you got to play the game over there. But guess what? Now, when you're passionate, when you're driven, you don't give a fuck. You're going to continue to do what you love. And she was not able to tame that wild horse, because that wild horse, is alive, baby. Got me fired up, man. Sensational Sherri was an amazing entertainer. We are not taking anything away from her. She had her addictions. That's why it's called the dark side of the ring. Yeah, exactly. But boom, man. So boom.
Moolah couldn't take her. She had too much nightclubbing in her. She said, honey, I cannot do this anymore. You need to get out of here. So she packed her bags, left Moolah's, and then she went over to the AWA with Vern Gagne.
Went to good old Vern, man. And Vern really wasn't a big fan of the Moolah. They didn't cross paths or anything like that. So he wasn't too worried about it. He's like, yeah, come along. Then she gets signed. She gets signed by the WWF. And of course, guess who the champion is for the past 30 fucking years in WWF? The one that's been sitting on the old man for the past 30 years. Fabulous Moolah, man. Fuck. She was probably shitting on Mr. McMahon Jr. and probably shitting on Senior. Let's be honest. I'm getting dizzy thinking about this right now. It's pissing me off. Fucking freaks. So boom, she drops the belt to Sensational Sherri. And of course, the Fabulous Moolah couldn't do the J.O.B. She's a mean bitch. She's like, she gets the rope, the rope, the rope. 1, 2, 3. She's up so quick out of there, you know? Get out of here, Fabulous Moolah. I love the Fabulous Moolah. I love Mae Young. But my God, this shit just, you can't fake this shit.
Her face when they scanned to her, and she got the WWF when
you're jumping the gun.
I know.
So when she gets in the Hall of Fame, they show a clip where Fabulous Moolah is just like looking at Mae Young, because Mae Young's clapping. Gotta love Mae Young. I'm not taking nothing away from Mae Young. That's shit, man. All right.
So, and then we can go into that story briefly about how Robin kind of got, she had to perform, have a match against Robin, and she was intoxicated. She was under the influence during this match and kicked her like freaking so hard in the throat. I guess she felt terrible
under
about
the
it
influence.
So.
Robin, of course, is Jake the Snake Roberts' sister. She ended up becoming WWF champion also. But yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah.
So where are we at here on this list?
Then she becomes DiBiase's manager.
Of course. So boom, Mr. McMahon, thank you. Mr. McMahon says, you know what? Can't take this shit no more, man. No more shit on me, please, all right? No more. I don't want the women around. The only one I want around is the sensational one. Good shit. So then she sticks around. She becomes the greatest effing manager of all time. Let's be honest. She's a trailblazer. She's a badass, dude. So the Sensational Sherri starts managing Ted DiBiase, Shawn Michaels, you know, the list goes on and on, man. Macho Man. And then, of course, she eventually gets fired or gets released, you know, allegedly. Goes to then she's released from WWF. She goes back to Smoky Mountain. Back to good old Jimmy Cornette. We love Jim Cornette. Goes back to Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette fucking had her in Smoky. Had her working good. Within a year, she goes to WCW. Gets hired by Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff doesn't care the reason why she got fired. He doesn't even know if she did get fired.
Well, but We can go back to WWF. She did get fired. Well, what they told us is that she got fired for failing a drug test.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, she goes in there. You know, it's like multiple
They're
drug
like,
tests.
we gotta have you come do this test. So they had to let her go. That's why they had to let her go. But yeah, then she goes to Smoky Mountain, goes to Cornette. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
She's in WCW. Eric Bischoff doesn't care the reason why she was fired, but after so long working under the Harlem Heat, which I would have loved to see a perspective from Booker T, but you know, once again, like there's no need to speak ill of the dead, right? So I could imagine, you know, it's like everyone else in this basically is just not putting her in the greatest light because of her drug addiction, but we cannot go through the story without mentioning her son, Jared, correct?
Yes, Jared.
I mean, this guy is a fucking star, dude. This guy, he grew up, you know, of course, Sensational grew up without a father around. And so this guy grew up without really his mother all the time around, but she was on television. He would see her from time to time. The first memory he has of his mother was in a Japanese magazine. You know, really great. You know, he doesn't want nothing. He doesn't want to tarnish his mother's legacy. He believes that she was a great mother, and I'm going to take it for his word. If that, you know what I mean? She was out there becoming a legend, and becoming a legend is not something that you could just do every day.
He understood the sacrifices that she had to make to get where she wanted to be
in this business. Yeah, so it was really actually beautiful. That was really one of the most touching parts of this whole series was seeing the son, seeing kind of his backstory,
his perspective.
No, it was, dude, and of course he has his own issues with They say they believe, you know, not allegedly he has a tongue cancer, so he can't speak super well, but he was still able to come across and get his words out there, which I think are very important. And it was very well done. I mean, at the end of the day, the way they put these together, it's almost like when WWE puts things together. They're so well oiled. And this was one of my favorite Dark Side of the Rings. She gets fired from WCW. You know, once again, because of drugs and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And, you know, kind of just goes down that dark road.
They touched briefly on how she married a fan in 1997. Didn't say how long that relationship lasted or if they got divorced or anything about that, really.
Yeah, and then once basically Jim Cornette was saying that, you know, once she wasn't on television, wasn't famous no more, this fan, this Mark, basically fucking just didn't want to deal with her no more. I don't know. They didn't touch bases, so I don't want to speak on something I don't know. All I know is Sensational Sherri was a badass. She gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. She was so happy and so joyed. Her son was there to be able to witness that moment. That was the pinnacle, he says, of his mother's career. Allegedly, you know, one of her best friends was talking with Sherri the night prior to her death, I believe shortly after the Hall of Fame. And she was mentioning to her friend that she was going to be in the WWE again. She was going to be a trainer for the females, maybe a road agent. It seemed like something like that. So she was just so joyed that was in the future. And that same day she passed away. So how these all go, they're never very good. They're never very, you know, never happy.
Timelines might be off, but...
Timelines are off, but guess what? We learned about someone. We learned about Sensational Sherri and how much she meant to this career and to this business. And she paved the way. And no hard feelings to Medusa at all. But it's like, come on, how are you going to, like, you know, why you got to be so negative? Why you got to be so negative, Delay? Why you got to hate on her? Why you got to hate? It's like, it's cool, man.
But another thing that I really thought that was kind of touching is how they allowed the woman that raised her son, the stepmom, on camera and gave her a moment to thank her for, you know, allowing her to raise her son. And she was only speaking highly of the woman also. So, you know, that was another great moment for the show.
Yeah. This business, you have to sacrifice a lot. It's no doubt about that. But we're looking forward to the next 2 episodes. We have the next one is going to be The Sandman, which I think it should be great. Knock on wood, he's still alive. So fucking hey, you know, I don't want to curse anything here. Sandman's still alive, and yeah, man. So we have Sandman, and we have Black Saturday. Absolutely, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining You Ought to Know.
Yes,
This has
thank
been another
you.
episode of Dark Side of the Ring. You guys take care out there. Until next time, we will see you then.